What if I told you that the fight for Zambia's future is not happening in the courts alone, but also in the headlines? Tonight, we uncover Mweetwa's shocking revelation, how the media is secretly influencing the Lungu family court battles. Is the press exposing the truth or protecting powerful interests? Stay with us, because what you're about to hear could change everything you thought you knew about Zambia's justice system. Mweetwa has finally broken his silence, and his shocking remarks about the role of the media in the Lungu family court drama are raising questions across Zambia and beyond. Is the media amplifying citizens' voices or quietly shaping the outcome of Lungu's cases? In this video, we dig deep into how the media is influencing Lungu's legal battles, why Mweetwa's statement could change public opinion, the secret connection between the Lungu family, and Zambia's justice system. Watch till the end to understand the untold truth behind this political showdown. The man behind the message. Cornelius Mweetwa didn't just break his silence, he orchestrated it. As Zambia's chief government spokesperson and Minister of Information and Media, his words carry the weight of an entire administration. When he finally addressed the nation about the Lungu burial saga, it wasn't just a press briefing. It was a carefully crafted narrative designed to shift public perception and control the political damage. The timing of Mweetwa's intervention was surgical. Delivering his statement via video link from Mombasa, Kenya, where he was attending a regional meeting, Chief Government Spokesperson Cornelius Mweetwa emphasized that the government remains committed to ensuring President Lungu receives a dignified and honorable state funeral. This strategic positioning, speaking from an international forum, added gravitas to his words and demonstrated the government's commitment to the matter at the highest levels. The art of strategic communication. Mweetwa's approach revealed the sophisticated nature of modern political communication. Rather than simply defending government actions, he reframed the entire narrative. Minister of Information and Media Cornelius Mweetwa says the legal process surrounding the repatriation and burial of former President Edgar Lungu was initiated in the public interest. This reframing was masterful, transforming what critics called governmental overreach into a patriotic duty. The word public interest became the government's shield, deflecting accusations of political vengeance and repositioning the administration as the guardian of national dignity. The silence before the storm. What made Mweetwa's eventual statements so powerful was the calculated silence that preceded them. In the age of instant communication, the decision to remain quiet initially was itself a strategy. This silence created a vacuum that opposition voices and family representatives filled, allowing the government to observe, analyze, and then respond with precision. The spokesperson's eventual emergence was timed to coincide with mounting public pressure and international attention. His words weren't just responses, they were strategic interventions designed to regain control of the narrative at a crucial moment when public opinion was crystallizing. The media's hidden power. Zambia's information ecosystem exposed. The invisible architecture of influence. The Lungu burial saga revealed something profound about modern media power. It's not just about what stories are told, but how they're framed, timed, and distributed. The Zambian media landscape became a battlefield where competing narratives fought for dominance, and Mweetwa's role as both government minister and media strategist put him at the epicenter of this information war. Traditional media outlets, social media platforms, and government communication channels created a complex ecosystem where information flowed in carefully controlled streams. Each press release, each leaked document, each family statement was part of a larger choreography of influence that the public rarely sees in its entirety. The government's media strategy unveiled. The Zambian government has expressed its commitment to resolving the burial dispute of former President Edgar Lungu in a manner that serves the national interest. Minister of Information and Media Cornelius Mweetwa stated that the government is pushing for an out-of-court settlement with the Lungu family. This statement reveals the government's sophisticated media strategy, presenting themselves as reasonable peacemakers while simultaneously maintaining their legal position. The phrase, national interest, appeared repeatedly in government communications, a carefully chosen term that resonates with patriotic sentiments while deflecting criticism. The power of narrative control. What became clear through Mweetwa's interventions was how governments in the digital age control narratives not through censorship but through strategic information management. The timing of press briefings, the choice of platforms for key announcements, and the careful selection of spokespeople all contributed to a sophisticated media strategy. The government's approach demonstrated several key principles of modern political communication. Strategic timing. Major announcements were timed to coincide with news cycles that would maximize favorable coverage while minimizing opposition response time. Platform selection. Different messages were delivered through different channels. Official government statements for formal positions, social media for public engagement, and international forums for diplomatic messaging. Narrative layering. Rather than presenting a single story, the government created multiple complementary narratives that reinforced their central message while addressing different audience concerns. Media as a diplomatic tool. Perhaps most revealing was how the burial dispute became a diplomatic media event. With the former president's body in South Africa and the family represented by prominent South African legal counsel, the story transcended national boundaries. Mweetwa's communications had to address not just domestic concerns but international perceptions of Zambia's democratic credentials credentials and respect for the rule of law. The international dimension added complexity to the media strategy. Stories that played well domestically might damage Zambia's international reputation, while messages crafted for international audiences might seem disconnected from local concerns. Mweetwa's challenge was to craft communications that served multiple audiences simultaneously. Lungu Family Court Drama Explained, a legal masterclass in political theater. The Legal Labyrinth. The court drama surrounding Edgar Lungu's burial was far more than a simple custody dispute over remains. It became a complex legal theater where constitutional law, international relations, family rights, and political succession intersected in unprecedented ways. The family of late former Zambian President Edgar Lungu has entered discussions with the Zambian government over the repatriation of his body for a state funeral. Appearing before the Pretoria High Court, the family's newly engaged lawyer, Advocate Tembika, marked a turning point in what had become an international legal spectacle. The players in the drama. The cast of this legal drama read like a who's who of Southern African legal and political elite. The Lungu family, represented by heavyweight South African counsel Tembika Ngukuratobi SC, a legal giant known for his work on constitutional and human rights cases. Their position was deeply personal yet politically charged, seeking to honor Edgar Lungu's legacy while protecting the family's dignity. The Zambian government, represented by Ben Stoop and supported by Mweetwa's media strategy, the government positioned itself as the rightful custodian of a former president's legacy and the guardian of national traditions. The South African courts, caught between international diplomacy and legal precedent, the Pretoria High Court became the unlikely stage for a drama that would test the boundaries of sovereignty, family rights, and diplomatic relations. The constitutional dimension. What made this case extraordinary was its constitutional complexity. The Zambian government wants Lungu's body repatriated for a state funeral, but his family have refused to allow that because of his political feud with current Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema. This wasn't just a family disagreement, it was a constitutional crisis that raised fundamental questions about the treatment of former heads of state. The case forced courts to grapple with unprecedented questions. What rights do families have over the remains of former presidents? Can governments compel repatriation of deceased former leaders? How do international courts balance family rights against state interests? What happens when political persecution allegations complicate funeral arrangements? The international legal implications. The court granted the adjournment, rescheduling proceedings to August 18. Representing the Lungu family, senior counsel Tembika Ngukuratobi confirmed that discussions had resumed between the parties to explore a mutually acceptable resolution. These words carried weight beyond their legal meaning. They signaled that even the most contentious political disputes could potentially find resolution through dialogue. The international dimension was crucial. South African courts were being asked to adjudicate a dispute involving a foreign government and a deceased foreign head of state. The precedent established would influence how similar cases might be handled across Africa and beyond. The political subtext. Beneath the legal arguments lay a deeper political reality. The Lungu family's resistance wasn't just about funeral preferences. It was about protecting Edgar Lungu's legacy from what they saw as posthumous political persecution. Family spokesperson Makibi Zulu said the government's actions would turn the burial into a mockery, revealing the depth of mistrust between the family and the current administration. This political dimension transformed every legal filing, every court appearance, and every media statement into a battle over historical narrative. The question wasn't just where Edgar Lungu would be buried, but how he would be remembered and what that memory would mean for Zambian politics going forward. Media and political spin. The presidential chess game. President Hichilema's strategic positioning. President Hakainde Hichilema found himself in an unprecedented position, managing the burial of his political predecessor while navigating accusations of persecution and maintaining his administration's democratic credentials. The way HH's government handled this crisis through media management and political positioning revealed sophisticated understanding of modern political communication. The president's approach was notably indirect. Rather than making personal statements about the burial dispute, he allowed Mweetwa and other government officials to carry the messaging burden. This strategic distance served multiple purposes. It preserved presidential dignity, avoided the appearance of personal vendetta, and allowed for more flexible positioning as the situation evolved. Media as political weapon. What became clear through this saga was how media had evolved from simply reporting political events to becoming a political weapon in its own right. Every press conference, every leaked document, every family statement was part of a larger war for public opinion and political legitimacy. The government's advantage lay in their institutional resources and official platforms, but this was offset by the family's emotional appeal and international legal representation. The result was a media chess game where each move had to anticipate not just immediate responses, but long-term reputational consequences. How citizens' voices are amplified. Democracy in the digital age. The new landscape of public opinion. The Lungu burial saga revealed how citizen voices in modern Zambia are amplified, filtered, and channeled through various mechanisms of democratic expression. Unlike traditional politics, where citizens were passive recipients of elite decisions, this crisis showed how public opinion opinion has become an active force that political actors must actively manage and respond to. Social media platforms became crucial battlegrounds where ordinary Zambians expressed their views, shared information, and influenced the broader narrative. The government's social media monitoring capabilities became evident through their rapid responses to trending topics and viral content related to the burial dispute. Traditional versus digital democracy. The crisis highlighted the tension between traditional democratic institutions and digital-age public engagement. While formal legal proceedings took place in South African courts, parallel debates raged on Twitter, Facebook, and WhatsApp groups across Zambia and the diaspora. Citizens didn't just consume information passively, they became active participants in shaping the narrative. Viral videos, memes, and social media debates influenced how traditional media covered the story and how politicians positioned themselves. The government's response strategy had to account for this multi-dimensional information environment. Mweetwa's shocking revelation, the truth behind the curtain, the strategic disclosure. When Cornelius Mweetwa chose to reveal the government's behind-the-scenes thinking and strategy, it wasn't an accidental disclosure. It was a calculated revelation designed to shift public perception at a crucial moment. His decision to pull back the curtain on government decision-making represented a sophisticated understanding of when transparency serves political interests. Mweetwa defends government, blames family impasse on misinformation and legal woes. This framing was revolutionary because it acknowledged that the government was engaged in an information battle while simultaneously claiming the moral high ground. The misinformation allegation. Mweetwa's most shocking revelation was his explicit accusation that misinformation was driving the family's position. This wasn't just political spin, it was a direct challenge to the family's credibility and moral authority. By framing opposition to government plans as based on false information, Mweetwa attempted to transform a political disagreement into an epistemological crisis. This strategy was particularly sophisticated because it didn't attack the family directly but questioned the information environment that was shaping their decisions. It suggested that reasonable people, given accurate information, would support the government's position. The legal strategy exposed. Perhaps most revealing was Mweetwa's willingness to discuss the government's legal strategy openly. Rather than maintaining the traditional separation between legal and political communications, he explicitly connected the courtroom battle to broader political objectives. This transparency served multiple purposes. It demonstrated government confidence in their legal position. It showed respect for public intelligence by explaining complex legal strategies. It preemptively addressed potential criticism about government motivations. It created accountability by making government strategy public. What this means for Lungu's future legacy in the balance. The historical stakes. Edgar Chagwa Lungu's posthumous legal battle has become more than a burial dispute. It's a fight for historical legacy that will influence how future generations remember Zambia's sixth president. The outcome of this crisis will fundamentally shape not just where Lungu is buried, but how he is remembered in Zambian political history. The builder of bridges, roads, and airports remains unburied, locked in an endless court tug-of-war. Analysts pray for a dignified resolution and good end for the family. This characterization captures the tragic dimension of the situation, a president's legacy being fought over in courtrooms rather than celebrated in national memory. Political rehabilitation or permanent exile. The resolution of the burial dispute will signal whether Edgar Lungu can achieve posthumous political rehabilitation or whether he will remain in permanent political exile even in death. A dignified state funeral would represent acknowledgement of his contributions to Zambian development, while continued legal battles would cement his position as a controversial figure. The government's eventual approach to Lungu's burial will be interpreted as a signal about how the current administration treats political opponents and whether reconciliation is possible in Zambian politics. This has implications far beyond Lungu's personal legacy. It will influence how current political actors think about their own futures and the possibilities for political reconciliation. The final verdict. Ultimately, the Lungu burial saga represents a test of Zambian democracy's maturity and the current administration's commitment to national reconciliation. How this test is passed or failed will influence not just Edgar Lungu's legacy, but the trajectory of Zambian politics for years to come. The sophisticated media strategies, legal maneuvering, and political positioning displayed by all parties demonstrate the complexity of modern democratic governance. Yet beneath all the strategy and spin lies a fundamental question about human dignity, political reconciliation, and the possibility of moving beyond division toward unity. The story continues to unfold, with each development offering new insights into the intersection of politics, media, law, and human dignity in modern Africa. Whatever the ultimate resolution, the Lungu burial saga has already provided invaluable lessons about power, politics, and the price of division in the digital age. The grave may be the final destination, but the lessons learned from this crisis will live on, influencing how future political leaders, media strategists, and citizens navigate the complex terrain of modern democratic governance. In death, Edgar Lungu has inadvertently provided a final service to his country, a masterclass in political communication, and a stark reminder of the work still needed to build truly reconciled and unified democratic societies. This analysis represents one of the most comprehensive comprehensive examinations of modern African political communication and the intersection of media, law, and politics in the digital age. The lessons learned from the Lungu burial saga will resonate far beyond Zambia's borders, offering insights for democracies worldwide grappling with similar challenges of political reconciliation, media management, and the balance between state interests and individual rights.